Have you ever felt completely erased by your partner's silence? Does your heart race and your mind panic when they shut down and refuse to speak? Do you try to force them to talk, only to have your pleas met with colder silence? The silent treatment is that frustrating, suffocating block of non-communication from your spouse or partner. Your natural instinct is to chase, to plead, to force them to talk. But when spoken words fail, you're often left feeling helpless, which is exactly the point of the silence. This communication block is a massive failure of the third house energy, the house of communication, effort, courage, and short journeys also. Your partner is failing to use their third house to express their thoughts, choosing instead to let their emotions fester. What is the third house? Third house is the house of communication, while second house is the house of speech or voice or your throat. Third house is the actual communication on how you communicate with other people. So when your partner's third house is impacted by a malefic planet such as Mars, Saturn, Rahu, or Ketu, that can create problems with their style of communication. Their intentions may be perfect for you and very loving for you, but their communication is just not up to the par. And something needs to happen to fix this. What I mean by their third house being impacted by malefics is if their third house has any impact or connection from these malefics. I'll give you an example. Someone's Saturn is sitting in the first house. Now, aside from a Taurus ascendant or a Libra ascendant in the Vedic horoscope, because Saturn is yokarak for those two ascendants, all the other ascendants will have issues with their communication when their Saturn sits in the first house, as it is directly having an aspect on the third house of communication. Saturn sitting in the ninth house and Saturn sitting in the sixth house will also have similar impact on the third house from the seventh and 10th aspect. That's for your partner's chart. And of course, Saturn itself sitting in the third house could create these issues as well. Unless Saturn here is sitting in its own sign or its friend sign, such as the sign of Venus or Mercury, then the problem could be of a lesser extent or may not happen in case of those two ascendants I told you. The good news is that the solution to this seventh house crisis lies directly in you mastering your own third house power. Today we're learning the one powerful strategy to break the silent treatment using clarity, effort, and the strategic power of the written word. We're going to stop engaging in the emotional drama and start focusing on factual, strategic communication. The only caveat is you need to know whether your spouse's third house is in fact impacted. And once you look at their chart and you know it's impacted, you can now use this strategy to get the ball rolling in fixing your relationship. Alternatively, you can also check your ninth house of the chart if you don't have their chart. If your ninth house is impacted, that's their third house. So let's first talk about the communication breakdown axis, which is the third house and the ninth house axis. Okay, third house is communication and now ninth house is your spouse's communication in your chart. Astrologically, the silent treatment reveals a problem that starts in the emotional houses, but manifests as a third house crisis. Emotional house is the fourth house, as I told you earlier. The third house governs how you express your thoughts, process information, and engage in dialogue. When the silent treatment begins, it means the emotional content, which is often from the fourth house, is being held back, leading to a breakdown in dialogue, which is the third house. So what is the error? Your partner is using the absence of dialogue to gain control. Your ear is what? It's chasing them with more emotional dialogue, tears, arguments, emotional pleas. This only confirms the effectiveness of their silence. So, what's the strategy? You must meet the third house crisis with a third house solution, not fourth house. Since you can't use immediate dialogue, you're not talking, you use structured communication and effort. The third house is all about courage. It takes courage to calmly state your case and then detach from the outcome. The written word, a classic third house tool, is your shield. So, now let me give you the third house antidote. What's it called? It's called the factual letter. Writing. Communicating via writing. When they close the door of dialogue, you open the window of clarity. You will use a third house letter, not a long emotional essay, I'm telling you, but a short, factual, and strategic piece of communication. And there are 3 rules to this. Rule number 1 is no emotion, only facts. The third house is about logic and analysis. Do not write about how hurt you feel. Instead, stick to the facts of the dispute and the facts of the required action. Let me give you an example. You say, I see you need space. The issue is X. I need your answer on Y by Z time. I'm ready to talk about X issue at 7 p.m. tomorrow. I will not discuss it before then. Now, this is a purely logical, low emotion delivery. What's rule number 2 in that letter? Rule 2 is the defined boundary and exit strategy. Your letter must contain a clear boundary. The third house is a house of effort. So you must define the effort required to resume communication. State clearly that you are respecting their need for silence up to a point, but that silence cannot continue indefinitely. This gives them an exit ramp back into the conversation rather than a wall that they have to climb over. Let's talk about rule number 3 for this letter. Deliver and detach. The key to the third house letter is that you deliver it calmly via text, email, or physical note, and then you detach immediately. You do not wait for a response. You go back to mastering your first house and focusing on your daily routine. The power of the letter is that you have stated your truth, met the communication need, and shifted the burden of response back to them. Okay? Now, let's go to the most important and toughest part of this video. I'm sure you know what it is. It's the courage of effort. It's you having the courage to walk away. The third house is not just about communication. It's also about the effort, the parakram, the courage. You defeat the silent treatment not by waiting, but by becoming intensely productive, by having the courage to walk away. When you deliver your factual statement, you must show the courage to walk away from the drama. You should not be afraid. Use the silence to focus on short, productive tasks that relate to your third house. This could be catching up on emails, working on a hobby, or taking a short trip, which is another third house matter, as I told you earlier, short journeys, to clear your head. Go for a walk. The second part is a victory of non-engagement. By engaging in focused, productive effort, you prove to yourself that your happiness is not dependent on their dialogue. You are showing them the consequences of their action is that you get more powerful. You are channeling the energy of conflict into personal strength. You have fulfilled your communication duty, and now you are fulfilling your duty to yourself. This is the third house victory. You used assertive clarity to define the terms of the relationship, and you used self-effort to stabilize your emotional world. Your emotional world was under chaos too. So, what does all this tell us? This tells us that, well, the silent treatment is a painful, passive aggressive failure of third house communication, no doubt about that. Your spouse is failing to use their words, but you are winning by using your courage, your clarity, and strategic effort. By writing that factual boundary, you define the acceptable terms of the marriage. You shift the dynamic from emotional chaos to clear expectations. This communication crisis is a key part of your soul contract and your karmic challenge. Your soul agreed to this very difficult scenario, to force the evolution of your third house, to move your communication from reactive pleading to strategic, sovereign assertion. By using the factual letter, you're not just breaking the silence, you're releasing the karmic debt of being powerless in dialogue. You're moving beyond the lower vibrational patterns of conflict and claiming your authority. This courageous shift elevates your entire soul journey, demanding that your partner either rise to the new standard of mature, clear communication or release you from the contract. You become the anchor of clarity. And that spiritual victory, my friends, is permanent. So here are your assignments. First, I want to know, tell me in the comments, what is the issue that you are avoiding discussing? And what is the exact deadline that you will set in your third house factual statement to resume this conversation? Second, as always, let's turn this knowledge into action. Do one good deed of the day today for someone less fortunate. Channel that difficult energy, difficult emotional energy, into selfless service, selfless seva. And finally, share this video with as many people as you can who are struggling with difficult relationship dynamics. This message is critical for soul evolution. The more you share, the more you make your own chart better. Knowledge is meant to be shared, and that's what I'm doing for you. If you'd like to connect with us, you can schedule a consultation via the link in the About section. And of course, the standard, subscribe, hit the like button if you like the video, share it with as many people as you can, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you get all the new videos that can truly, truly change your life. There are more videos coming on this silent treatment series, so stay tuned. And thank you for watching.